few seasons ago, we were at LeBoat, and Steve was right here in Smiths Falls, only he took a LeBoat south towards Kingston. Well, we are back, and we have a new adventure. This time, we're gonna go from Smiths Falls all the way to Ottawa. Now, LeBoat's been here for 3 years now, and they have grown significantly. In fact, their fleet as of now consists of 20 boats. And we are gonna be on the new Horizon 4, which is a 44-foot-long boat. It has 4 staterooms and 4 heads, and we can't wait to see what Ottawa looks like from the Rideau Canal as the sun goes down.
But not before a thorough orientation and pilot training. Joining us on this adventure are our diving buddies, Chris and Lorraine. One of the best things about the LeBoat experience is you don't need any boating experience. Orientation covers everything from route navigation to operating the ship's systems and to piloting from either helm. Besides the standard safety gear, each boat is also equipped with a detailed ports guide, a proper set of charts, and an impressive manual in a binder to answer any question you might have about any system on the boat. It was time to turn the key and get a driving lesson. More importantly, a parking lesson. This 44-foot Horizon 4 has a 14-foot beam, but not to worry. These boats have huge hydraulic bow and stern thrusters and integrated fenders all around, making them super easy to park. After moving the boat closer to our vehicles and loading up all the gear we brought aboard, we still had time to explore the town a bit. Smiths Falls became a settlement in the early 1830s with the construction of the Rideau Canal. You could spend a few days exploring the heritage buildings. There are 21 on a walking tour, but I had to remind myself this is a boating show. Let's take a quick tour of our LeBoat Horizon 4.
The aft cockpit is actually quite spacious, and of course it's covered overhead. The aft bench flips forward and back and can easily seat 5, if not 6 people. One thing I really like are how wide the side decks are, and if you notice, they're actually sloped to be a little bit lower towards the aft, and that's really handy for taking equipment and gear on and off the boat. Sturdy handholds, big railings to make sure you're safe and secure as you move forward. Of course, here's the starboard side entry door. Now here we can see 9 hatches in the upper deck, so plenty of ventilation. Forward, we have an amazing little spot for 2 people to sit and just watch the view. We also have an anchor. It's not an electric windlass, it's a manual windlass. So if you do decide to anchor somewhere overnight, you're gonna spend a little bit of time getting it back up. Plenty of room to maneuver all the way around the boat. And something interesting, the Flybridge overhang is structural, so you can stand on it. No ladders on this boat, stairs all the way around, which means you can go up and down without grabbing any handles. You've got a bimini to protect you from the elements, but you have seating here for 10 people, no problem at all. We have a little barbecue here. It's European style, so it's got a plate in it. Here we'll find a little sink. And forward, these sunbeds have a little support if you want to have a little nap while underway. And here we have a 4-cylinder, 1.6-liter Nanny diesel engine, which is actually made by Kubota. It's 65 horsepower pushing the bigger boat, so it's got a little tiny turbo in it. But that's not the coolest part of the story. If you look, there's no transmission, but there is a massive hydraulic pump. So basically, the propeller and the thrusters are all operated by this hydraulic system. On the engine side, if you were to strike the bottom or anything like a rock and stop the propeller dead, quite often you'll do tons of damage to the transmission and its gears. But in this boat, because it's hydraulically activated, you don't damage the driveline system, just the propeller, which is a little cheaper if you do make that mistake. This hydraulic system also runs the thrusters. And unlike electric thrusters, where you can only lean on them for a few seconds, these guys, you can lean on them and lean on them and lean on them. And if you notice when we go to a dock or at a blue line, we actually lean on them and hold the boat against the blue line or against the dock while anyone's manning the lines. It's just so easy to drive.
Between our orientation, loading, and familiarization, our day was pretty much spent and dinner was calling. Lisa, our LeBoat guru guide, had arranged dinner for us at the Lockmaster's Tap House right next to Smiths Falls. It is a gorgeous spot for a bite to eat. Stick around as we take to the water later in the show on our way towards Merrickville.
Welcome aboard the Azimut 60 Flybridge. This Stefano Regini-designed Italian yacht packs all kinds of sophisticated style and elegance that you normally see on a super yacht in just a 60-foot package. Azimut's been building boats for over 50 years, but they're relatively new to North America, so I'm pretty excited to show you this 60-footer today.
Extraordinary Italian style, design, and innovation are some of the best ways to characterize Azimut's fleet, and the 60 Flybridge is no exception. At 59 feet 10 inches in length, 16 feet 7 inches wide, and drafting 4 feet 9 inches, it sits right in the middle of Azimut's impressive lineup, which ranges from 42 to 88 feet. With its distinctive vertical flat-nosed bow, sporty lines, and floor-to-ceiling windows, this is a vessel designed to let you get the absolute most out of your yachting experience. Carbon fiber construction throughout has allowed Azimut to increase space on board without adding extra weight, meaning top-notch performance and almost infinite potential for entertaining.
Up here on the Flybridge, it's incredibly spacious as well. They've divided it into 3 main parts. You've got the helm with the twin bolstered captain's seats and a nice big sun lounger opposite. We've got a huge dinette with wraparound seating across from the fridge bar. And all the way aft is this gorgeous open-air salon area with this nice home-style sofa, the barbecue unit, and with the touch of a button, I can shield us right in with this retractable sunshade. That's more like it.
The Flybridge will likely be your favorite place to take the helm, as the sightlines are endlessly unobstructed. Here we find a beautifully appointed dash with 2 large flush-mount Raymarine screens on either side of a smaller one dedicated to engine data display. The wheel is elegant, and throttle and joystick are ergonomically placed to port, allowing control of the dual 900 horsepower shaft-drive Volvo D13s, which power the craft.
The electronic power steering on this 60 Fly is incredible. It really makes this 60-foot yacht feel like you're driving a sports car. What's cool is that the responsiveness of the helm and the steering effort can be adjusted according to the speed. So at slower speeds, you might turn the wheel 180 degrees and the boat will turn about 20 degrees. Whereas when you open up the throttle, you can set it so that spinning the wheel 180 degrees will only spin at about 10 or even 5 degrees. It really makes maneuvering this big boat simple for anybody, regardless of skill level.
The 60 Flybridge boasts a top speed of 31 knots, although you'll find a better cruise around 26 knots and make more of its 740-gallon fuel capacity. That's helped by active trim control, which lifts the boat on plane quickly and optimizes hull resistance and speed at any load. When the weather turns, the view from the main helm is almost equally impressive, behind a huge sweeping windshield. A pair of top-quality Italian leather bucket seats sit side by side in front of the matching steering wheel, although throttle and joystick sit to starboard down here.
If you ask me, for entertaining, this galley-up layout like we have here on the 60 Fly is the way to go. Just a single step down separates the galley and dinette from the main salon area, and with these floor-to-ceiling windows, with that nice little cutout in the bulwark, it really gives an open, airy feel in here.
The galley to port features standard Miele appliances, including a wine cooler, full-height refrigerator, oven, and stovetop, as well as the option for a dishwasher and a double sink. In the main dinette area to starboard are 2 large sofa-style benches around an expanding table that can also drop to coffee table height to make the most of one of the best views on board. A step down into the main salon, we find a large leather sectional and ottoman across from a smaller settee and retractable LCD television.
I keep being more and more impressed with the entertaining potential on this boat. You slide those glass doors open, and this aft cockpit connects to the main salon, making the main deck essentially one big entertaining space. What I really like is how the Flybridge protects this aft cockpit, making it a great spot to sit around this marble table and enjoy some cocktails or maybe a nice dinner. And if you're parked in a busy anchorage or at a marina, more privacy is just a click away. It's a great spot to hang out after a long day in the sun.
For convenience, another refrigerator with a small countertop is situated in the aft cockpit as well.
Underneath, there are 3 big staterooms with 3 heads, so plenty of room for guests or grandkids on board. This master stateroom is a full beam beauty, with tons of light from those big square windows, tons of headroom, and plenty of room to walk around with these floating cabinets.
The master ensuite is expansive, with a full-size shower sealed off by a glass door. Fully forward, the VIP stateroom features a Queen Island berth, plenty of storage space, and a large hanging locker. and access to a large ensuite with full-size shower. Our third stateroom is well lit by a large window with a pair of single berths and a hanging locker. And the third head also has a large sink and its own shower. There's also a washer-dryer combo tucked under the stairs.
In keeping with the theme of entertaining, we've got a great big space out here on the foredeck with a couple of big couches, one of which converts into a massive sun lounger. And the other nice thing you notice out here is the Seakeeper system. Now, it's not that rough of a day, but even these waves coming in right now, you don't even feel it, thanks to that gyroscope. It's a perfect system for hanging out on the hook. The 60 Fly has two different options for crew quarters here at the transom. There's a single berth, which would give you an extra storage compartment here, or a double berth. And if you're keen to captain this rig by yourself, that whole area becomes a storage compartment. Hidden inside these crew quarters is a fourth head. So if you're soaking wet coming off of this great big hydraulic swim platform, you don't have to trudge dripping through the main salon.
If you ask me, this is a yacht you'll want to drive yourself, and bring your friends and family along for the trip. Azimut's 60 Flybridge is an impressive ride through and through.
Pulling this little whaler out for some end-of-the-year maintenance, I've realized I may have another project. See, between here and the launch ramp, I started to hear that unmistakable sound that my trailer bearings may need replacing.
You probably know the sound, and it's not good. A sort of high-pitched whirring that you can't get away from. Before you get to that point, it's a good idea to check your bearings periodically, especially with a trailer like this that sits in a parking lot all season. Today, we're going to repack our trailer bearings.
Another way to check, which should be done periodically, is the temperature of the hub. If it's hot to touch, those bearings are probably done.
Your wheel's hub has two sets of bearings. To get at them, I'm taking off the wheel and prying off the hub cap, lightly tapping the side with a mallet to work it off. Pull out the cotter pin and remove the lock nut. Then the hub can slide right off.
Look at that. Just as I suspected, this thing is pooched. So I've got the bearings out of both the front and back of this hub. The front one is that brutal one we looked at earlier. That was the one making all the noise. The back, not that bad, but if you're gonna change one, you better change them both. So it's off to our marine parts store we go. Make sure you bring the old one with you, no matter how embarrassing it is to look at that shape. All right, back from the marine parts store where they were very helpful. In these kits, we've got two bearings, one for the front and back of each hub, some races to hold them in, a new cotter pin, and a new cap for the back one. What they did not give me was the lock nut to hold it in, so make sure you do not throw that out. I also picked up some Mercury Marine grease that'll work for a small trailer. It's lithium-based, and it won't break down in the presence of water.
Remove all the old grease with some paper towels so you can take out the old races. Mine were visibly worn with ridges you could actually feel with your fingers. Generously lube up the new races and the inside of the hub and slide the race into the hub. Make sure the wide side goes in first so the new bearing can sit properly inside the hub. To get them all the way in, I tapped in a circle with some brass pipe, which is softer than the metal in the race, so it won't dent it.
Both races in. I'm gonna start with the cap side and pack this thing full of grease, and then I'm gonna take my bearings and work it through on each one of these pins so that grease is getting all the way around right in the back.
Setting the bearing into place, add a little more grease for good measure. Then put the cap over the inside bearing. Tap it home with a rubber mallet. Clean and grease the axle and slide the hub back on and secure it with the lock nut. Make sure you don't over tighten. Just make sure there's no play with the hub, then back the nut off slightly so you can slide in the cotter pin. Replace the hub cap with the mallet and replace your wheel.
Now that's the sound we're looking for. Nothing.
There are a number of things to consider when trailering a boat down the road. Are the lights working? Is the tire pressure okay? Is the boat secured properly? Most of these things can be checked visually, but one important safety measure that is often overlooked and hard to measure is tongue weight.
Now, there's a ton of technology packed into these 21 F-150s, but all the technology in the world isn't going to save you if you make the biggest mistake while trailering, and that is not having enough tongue weight. The problem is you need 10 to 15%, but you have no idea how much you have. Sure, you can look and see if the trailer of the back of the truck drops a little bit, but what is an inch? What is 2 inches? We don't know.
Plus, every time you tow your boat, there's a good chance the tongue weight will change.
Well, there's a new cool little hitch out called WaySafe, and it's actually got a tongue weight scale built right into it. So you can find out exactly if you've got enough tongue weight or not.
There are a few versions, including fixed height and drop hitch variations from 4 inches to 10 inches. Ball sizes range from 1 7/8 to 2 5/16, with tow capacities up to 21,000 pounds. If properly balanced, trailer sway will often correct itself. But too little tongue weight can cause an oscillation to build up to the point of losing control. To show how this can happen, the folks at WaySafe created a demonstration with a car on a treadmill, allowing them to change tongue weight without tossing a new truck in the rhubarb. It's a good idea to run your rig to a commercial scale to get an actual weight running down the road. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we use 6,500 pounds, which would mean, ideally, we want 600 to 900 pounds of tongue weight. When we check the WaySafe scale, we notice we only have 300 pounds of tongue weight, which is definitely not enough. Most boat trailers offer some form of adjustment, but the range of that adjustment will vary. To add more tongue weight, we wanted to move the boat forward on the trailer, checking to make sure the trailer would not interfere with the engine's lower unit as we move the boat forward.
We brought this down to 2.5 inches, which should bring the boat forward about an inch, and it doesn't take much to add a lot more tongue weight, so you don't want to go too far forward.
If the boat is light, you can probably winch it forward on flat ground. But I like to put the heavier ones back in the water for winching. If you salty dogs are wondering if these hitches can be submerged, not to worry. The solid block construction provides greater strength than hollow steel. WaySafe simply recommends that you rinse the hitch off after each use in salty or brackish water.
With a little fiddling, we managed to get this Rideau to 700 pounds of tongue weight.
We can't think of an easier way to double-check tongue weight. For more information, check out waysafe.com. After an insanely fun first day, we were on the water heading for Ottawa.
So we just left Smiths Falls, and we ran through the first lock last night just in case we were pushed for time. And we are 500 meters from lock number 2. And if I'm not mistaken, we're going to run 7 locks today. And it should take 3 or 4 hours to get to Merrickville, so we should have plenty of time to do a bit of filming and just enjoy this spectacular scenery.
These boats are intimidating to look at, but within a few minutes, we had everyone taking a turn at the wheel. First up was Chris, who piloted our comfy cruiser from Old Sliss through Edmonds to Kilmarnock, allowing the rest of us a chance to relax in the sun. Although I must say, Chris looks pretty relaxed. As we exit Kilmarnock, it was time for some lunch. But no need to stop. Our Horizon 4 hardly feels like it's moving, so making lunch on the go is no big deal. And before we knew it, we were in Merrickville, a town known for its food and artistic community.
Now, our first stop along the way towards Ottawa is Merrickville, and it lies between Smiths Falls and Manotick. And it is an absolutely incredible place to stop. There is so much to see in Merrickville. And behind me, you'll notice there's just a little tiny bay, a protected spot where you can anchor or dock overnight.
For anybody coming to the village, the diversity that we offer, we have something for everyone. You can park right downtown within a 10-minute walk. You have access to everything from groceries to post office to vet, and just on the other side of the locks, there is a full-service marina, a repair shop with diesel and gas. We also have the largest number of artists per capita in Canada. Merrickville boasts the largest number of heritage-designated buildings for its size municipality in Ontario. Behind me is the blockhouse that was built back during Colonel By days to protect the canal from the invading Americans. The musket holes, you'll see them at the top of the blockhouse, and they could aim down if you got close to the building.
Built in 1860, the Baldecan was once the largest department store between Chicago and Montreal. With 15-foot-high stone walls, this giant ballroom feels enormously spacious. There is so much to do in Merrickville, we highly recommend staying overnight. But we still had a lot of water to cover and moved the boat downriver to overnight at Nicholson's Lock. In the morning, we woke up to an eerie surprise. Turns out the fog was the perfect excuse to run back into town and have breakfast at Stella Luna. Purely for safety reasons, of course. Stella Luna Gelato Cafe is owned and operated by Tammy and Alessandro Giuliani. Their food is incredible, and their story is one of romance. True love at first sight.
As a 19-year-old girl, I was traveling the world, starting in Rome, and I never left. 3 days later, I met Alessandro, who drove up on his Ducati motorcycle. He proposed to me after 3 days, and I accepted. We call it a colpo di fulmine, which means you've been struck by lightning.
After a round of fresh lattes and delicious homemade scones, we were treated to something truly special.
This is affogato, which I'm understanding is gelato that has been drowned or smothered, and in this case, with espresso. Let's try it out. Oh my. I've had gelato, but not like this. It's incredible. Wow, what a cool stop.
So we're part of an artisanal gelato movement worldwide that is making everything from scratch using natural ingredients.
With our bellies full, it was time to get rolling. We aren't even halfway, which just goes to show how much there is to do by boat along the Rideau Canal. Join us next week as we continue our LeBoat adventure down the Rideau Canal, stopping at Watson's Mill and Hogback Falls before arriving downtown Ottawa by boat.